All right, so look, I want to talk about black fatigue, and I want to go into the real reason why they say that they are tired of hearing black people talk about justice, freedom, and equality. There's a deeper psychological phenomenon happening right now. And everything becomes clearer when you include the reality of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's book, The ISIS Papers. If you read this book, you will understand what's happening. So Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was a psychiatrist and a scholar. And she basically said that the system of white supremacy is based off more than just power or economics. She says that the system of white supremacy is based on the fear of genetic survival. In other words, she said that white people invented the system of white supremacy to maintain genetic survival of white people. And these white people represent a global minority and carry the least genetically dominant traits. So that's why they built this shit, according to her, to help maintain their own survival. So when you understand that foundation, you start to see a different kind of picture when you hear white people talk about how they are tired of hearing black people talk about justice, black people talk about reparations, black people talk about freedom, black people talk about the oppression that they're under. All that shit starts to make sense, because then you connect the dots between genetic insecurity and psychological projection. So according to Frances Cress Welsing, whiteness as a genetic state is recessive in the face of melanin. That means that blackness, melanin dominant genetics, represents a biological threat to the continuation of whiteness. So when white people are confronted with discussions about black power, justice, history, and pain, it activates an unconscious fear. It activates a fear that their dominance, that their identity, and even their existence is under threat, is under attack. You see, when they say that they're tired of hearing about racism, what they're really saying is, we're tired of being reminded that we are not the original. We're tired of feeling morally and historically inferior. We're tired of being seen as the aberration rather than the norm. It's deeper than exhaustion. It's a defensive projection. It's a denial of internal conflict by externalizing it as annoyance with the victim. You see, this trend of black fatigue is a modern mask for what Welsing describes as psychological fragility rooted in existential fear. And it manifests as a denial of historical facts, a minimization of trauma, aggression towards truth-telling, and a hypersensitivity to accountability. This is not neutrality. It's self-preservation in the face of reckoning. So when Welsing's talking about the system of white supremacy is a global behavior system constructed for white genetic survival, you can see how the rise of black consciousness could be unsettling to that system, because it puts their shit in their face and they can't avoid it anymore. Now, this is a major fucking point right here. So their lack of empathy or understanding with black people is also a lack in empathy and understanding with humanity. If black people are the original people, and they say that they are tired of hearing black people complain about freedom and justice, that means you are tired of hearing the original people of planet Earth complain about freedom and justice. And if you have a problem with the original, you have a problem with the very source of human existence, or the very source of at least this human population. If the many variations of humanity all can be traced to the single source, the single black origin, your anti-blackness is anti-human. Once again, showing that your black fatigue is not just an emotional tiredness. It's a manifestation of the spiritual and historical guilt of trying to suppress the origin of life, especially human life. And now with this rise of black consciousness, there is a sense of the return of the repressed. Every time that black people speak about their experience, history, rights, biological circumstance, anything, it ruptures the white psychological illusion of supremacy. And it reasserts the reality that black people gave birth to civilization. Black people are the mothers and fathers of humanity and civilization. It reasserts the fact that we are not victims by nature, but we are survivors of imposed trauma. There's a difference. And it also asserts the reality that black people still continue to create culture, still continue to create language. We still continue to add to the collective and do our thing in a way that moves the world despite their oppression, despite what they think about us, and despite what they are trying to do to us. So let's wrap this shit up. Black truth is a mirror and a threat to the psychology of white supremacy or the white supremacist mindset. See, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing saw racism not as some fluke in history. It wasn't just a group of bad people just doing bad things. It's deeper than that. She saw it as a neurotic survival reaction to black genetic dominance. And in this light, this black fatigue that they're experiencing is the latest symptom of that psychosis. Not wanting to hear black truth is the same as not wanting to see your own reflection. Denying black pain is the same as denying historical records. Fatigue isn't the issue. Truth is the issue. And the truth hurts. The truth burns, especially when it's not your friend. So the system of white supremacy is not just unjust, it's unsustainable because it's built on lies. It's built on an illusion. It's built off of these projections of genetic survival. And this black fatigue, this growing resistance to black voices, only really demonstrates that the system is buckling down under its own weight. It can't handle its own truth. And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing would say that this is not our burden. It's the cost of suppressing truth for too long. And now that truth is out, and now truth is everywhere, no matter how tired you are of hearing it.